So there is an unhealthy type of ketosis, okay? It's called the classical ketogenic diet. Okay, now this is used for kids that have epilepsy to reduce seizures. It's very effective for that. But from my viewpoint, it's not healthy long term. So in this video, I just wanted to differentiate between the healthy ketogenic diet and the classical ketogenic diet. Completely different programs.
What's up, y'all? RPV, and today's question, is the keto diet healthy? And what about long term? First, I'm going to show you the science, then we're also going to be talking about why healthy keto advocates like Dr. Eric Berg are starting to distance themselves from the ketogenic diet. And finally, Dr. Berg drops a bombshell you guys are going to want to see at the end. On this channel, we cover a lot of important popular diet topics that will affect your health. So take a moment and hit the subscribe button now. So is the keto diet healthy long term? To start off with, one of the reasons the keto diet is so popular right now is because people are able to lose weight. Weight loss is associated with many health benefits and improvements in biomarkers. But what about long term? Time for a quick overview of the science. Alright, many of the long-term studies on the keto diet have been conducted in people with epilepsy as they grow from children into adulthood. Fasting and keto both appear to reduce seizures, and this has been established for many decades. Recent research among long-term keto dieters indicates that the ketogenic diet can stiffen your arteries, especially within the first year. This is bad because arterial stiffness is an early marker for vascular disease. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of Americans. Also alarming is the fairly long-standing research indicating children treated with the ketogenic diet suffer from loss of bone mineral content. Weak bones. Not good. A simplified explanation could be as a result of the acidic environment created in the body from all of those ketones, which are acidic. We'll come back to these and other side effects a little later in the video, so keep watching. Now let's hand it back over to Dr. Eric Berg and watch him distance himself from the ketogenic diet.
When you hear the opposing viewpoint that keto is dangerous or it does this or does that, they're using this unhealthy version. Okay, so they're saying, well, oh yeah, it's going to cause kidney stones, uric acid, and bad breath, and when in fact, they're not talking about healthy ketosis, okay? They're talking about the classical ketogenic diet.
Dr. Berg drops a bombshell that I think a lot of people missed, and I'm going to show you that at the end of this video. But first, it's notable that Dr. Berg's diet advice, which is best summarized as the bacon and kale shake diet, does in fact emphasize dark leafy greens. Interesting how 10 cups of kale earns his diet the name of quote-unquote healthy keto. It's almost like increasing the whole plant food content of the diet is universally recognized to make it healthier. Now, to be fair, he does point out how some of the ketogenic diets in the experimental research, like that which I just cited, contain margarine and maltodextrin and other bad foods. But the key here for you to understand is that he's trying to differentiate his version of the keto diet from the keto diet or the ketogenic diet used in the medical research. Now, why would he be trying to do that? Well, for one, there's not a tremendous number of studies focusing on the ketogenic diet in humans, and even fewer that extend beyond the 12 and 24-month time frame. Even Dr. Michael Greger acknowledged earlier this year that many of the studies on the ketogenic diet are not so good, and he's announced a series of videos coming soon dedicated to the keto diet.
There's actually very few studies on ketogenic diets, period, which should tell you something. Or is it just another low-carb diet? repackaged. It is another low carb diet, repackaged, but truly ketogenic diets are extremely low carbohydrate diets. And I have a series of videos that I'm going to do on ketogenic diets and intermittent fasting, water only fasting. That's more of a spoiler alert. And so once you see the science, I think you will agree that you're glad you were not on a ketogenic diet.
I think the outcomes on a ketogenic diet, whether good or bad, are going to be entering into the discussion on a much larger scale over the coming years and in the near future. You've got a situation where a lot more practitioners are beginning to offer this, especially for diabetics and people who need dramatic weight loss to turn their health around. And they're doing it under much more closely supervised conditions than what you might expect if you were to just follow somebody's advice from a YouTube channel. So there's going to be more research emerging, there's going to be more case studies emerging, and this is a very hot topic right now. So you add someone like Dr. Greger throwing his voice into it and shining a spotlight on the research, similar to what I did at the beginning of this video, only on a much bigger platform, and all of a sudden now we are going to be talking about the outcomes, the long-term health outcomes on a ketogenic diet. All right, so even with the bad outcomes on a ketogenic diet in a controlled experimental environment starting to come into the discussion more frequently, there is yet another reason for Dr. Berg to distance himself from the research on keto diets. What you're about to see is a very honest admission from Dr. Berg.
So at the summit, I sat down and was talking to someone who goes to all of the keto summits and the conventions around the world. One of the keto conventions that this person went to was involving just scientists and medical doctors, no one else, okay? And I wanted to know what they talked about. They were talking about the research for epilepsy, certain brain disorders, certain genetic disorders. Well, apparently, the scientists and the medical doctors that went to the convention don't do keto themselves. They look at it as a treatment or therapy, but not as a lifestyle change, which is interesting. So, of course, I can see their viewpoint because they probably weren't introduced to a healthy version of keto. They were basically introduced to this, which is unhealthy. So that makes sense to me that they're probably thinking, why would I need that, you know?
One thing Eric Berg and I, and now you, understand is that a lot of the research on ketogenic diets is done specifically focused on medical circumstances where the keto diet is known to be able to show some sort of benefit, such as childhood epilepsy or glioblastoma brain tumors. Almost none of the research involves medical doctors or nutrition experts coming out in their concluding remarks and recommending a ketogenic diet to the general public. They just don't do that in most cases. There are a few people who are doing that, and they have very loud voices on YouTube. You know who they are. But one of the most important takeaways from this is that the leading doctors and researchers in the field don't eat ketogenic diets themselves, and they certainly do not recommend them to the general public. They study these diets for specific targeted therapies. This is basically the exact opposite of what people like Eric Berg are doing when they hype up the benefits of keto and promote it for weight loss and general health to the general public.
But the benefits of keto go far beyond just epilepsy. Weight loss, anti-inflammatory, all sorts of wonderful things that can happen to your body. Right? All sorts of wonderful things that can happen to your body.
If we scroll down into the comments section, we can see some of his loyal subscribers having to go to the emergency room after starting his diet. It's important to understand that there is no liability or responsibility for the type of information you'll find on Eric Berg's YouTube channel because he's not a doctor and he's not providing medical advice. Even the Epilepsy Foundation website, where they promote this diet as a specific medical treatment, they're courteous enough to warn you of the well-documented long-term side effects, including kidney stones, high cholesterol, constipation, slowed growth, and bone fractures. So, if your goal is weight loss and a healthy diet you can maintain long term, the keto diet would not be my first choice. I would recommend learning about a plant-based diet that focuses on whole foods. That's right, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, mushrooms, and yes, even beans and rice and potatoes and sweet potatoes are all very healthy foods that can satisfy you and give you energy without having to resort to an extreme bacon and kale shake diet. You can leave your juicer in the closet if you want. Now, if you like this common sense approach from this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Red pill vegan. Next.